Ladies and gentlemen, how long will you wait for someone else to validate your worth? How long will you beg for attention, for approval, for a seat at a table that was never made for you in the first place? Today, I want you to stop, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Stop begging, start leaving. We live in a world where we're conditioned to wait, to please, to ask. But what if I told you, your greatest power lies not in asking, but in choosing? Choosing yourself, choosing your worth, choosing to leave situations that no longer serve your purpose. I'm not standing here as someone who's had it easy. I've faced rejection, criticism, stereotypes. I've begged too, begged for roles, recognition, and relevance, until one day I realized begging strips you of your dignity, leaving gives it back. It's time to stop knocking on doors that were never meant to be opened by you. Create your own, be your own validation. Let the silence of your exit be louder than the noise of your pleas. Walk away from jobs that belittle your talent. Exit relationships that make you feel small. Say goodbye to circles where you're always the one proving your worth. Stop begging for love. Start leaving for peace. Because when you leave what drains you, you make space for what empowers you. And that, my friends, is how you evolve, not as someone seeking permission, but as someone rewriting the rules. Validation is a powerful drug, and in today's world, it's more addictive than ever. From the number of likes on your photos to the approval of your boss, partner, or peers, we constantly seek that external nod to feel enough. But here's a truth no one tells you. Validation given by others can be taken away just as easily. When you depend on others to define your worth, you put your entire identity into their hands, you become a puppet dancing to someone else's tune. Every compliment becomes your high, and every criticism your crash. This is not how power is built, this is how it's lost. Priyanka Chopra once said, "Don't try to squeeze into a glass slipper, instead, shatter the glass ceiling." And that starts with trusting your own voice over the noise. You don't need to beg to be seen. You don't need to plead to be accepted. You're not here to fit into molds. You're here to break them. Validation must come from within. You need to be the one to clap for yourself first. When you walk into a room, carry the confidence of someone who knows they belong. Not because they were invited, but because they chose to show up. The moment you stop begging for people's approval, you'll notice a shift. You'll no longer fear rejection because you've already accepted yourself. You'll stop shrinking and start shining. So, the next time you find yourself waiting for someone's permission to live boldly, don't. Choose yourself again and again. That's the only validation you'll ever need. There's a dangerous myth in our culture that walking away from something, especially something you've invested time, energy, or love into, is weakness. That it means you've failed. But the truth is, leaving toxic environments isn't failure. It's one of the boldest acts of strength and self-preservation you can make. Whether it's a draining job, a manipulative relationship, or a stifling social circle, staying in toxic environments chips away at your confidence, your peace, and eventually, your identity. You begin to doubt yourself, you guess your value. You tolerate behavior that you once knew was unacceptable. Why? Because you're afraid that leaving will make you look like a quitter. You're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of the unknown, but think about it. Isn't it more courageous to say I deserve better, and walk into the unknown, than to stay and keep shrinking? Leaving doesn't mean you gave up. It means you finally chose yourself over the cycle. It means you recognized the cost of staying was greater than the fear of starting over. It's not a retreat, it's a reset. We glorify resilience, but rarely talk about the bravery it takes to stop enduring and start evolving. Priyanka Chopra didn't make it by conforming or staying where she wasn't respected. She moved, she risked, and she left behind what didn't align with her purpose. You don't owe anyone your loyalty at the expense of your peace. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, this is not where I thrive. So when something starts to drain your light instead of fueling it, don't explain, don't apologize, just leave. That's not weakness. That's wisdom, and it's how strength silently roars. There's a moment in everyone's life when they feel the pressure to shrink, to become more agreeable, less outspoken, more acceptable, just to be liked or to fit into a room they were never meant to belong to. But here's the truth: when you lower your worth to fit in, you abandon the very power that makes you unique. You were not born to dim your light so others can shine. You were not created to silence your voice so someone else can be comfortable. The moment you compromise who you are to gain approval, you start trading authenticity for acceptance. And that's a deal never worth making. Your worth isn't defined by a title, a salary, a relationship, or the number of people who like you. Your worth is inherent. It's in your resilience, your ideas, your heart, your journey. When you start to believe in that deeply, you stop settling for spaces that don't see it. Fitting in often requires you to edit parts of yourself, your opinions, your appearance, your truth. But standing out means being unapologetically you, even if that makes others uncomfortable, and that's okay. Because the right people, the right opportunities, and the right rooms won't ask you to shrink. They'll celebrate your full presence. Priyanka Chopra didn't make it by becoming what others expected. She made it by owning her differences, by knowing her worth and refusing to compromise it, even when it wasn't popular. So don't adjust to fit the frame, break it, expand it, redefine it, because when you truly know your worth, you'll stop asking for a seat at the table. You'll build your own, and the people who belong in your life won't just sit with you, they'll rise with you. There will be times in your life when doors won't open, calls won't be returned, and opportunities will be handed to someone else. Someone who may not be more talented, just better connected or more convenient. In those moments, you'll be tempted to wait, to hope, or worse, to settle. But the real game changer is realizing you don't have to wait for anyone to hand you anything. If no one is giving you an opportunity, create one. This mindset is the cornerstone of resilience and success. The people who rise aren't always the ones who are chosen. They're the ones who chose themselves. They saw closed doors and built windows. They faced silence and created noise. They turned rejection into redirection. You don't need permission to chase your purpose. Start that business, write that story, launch that project, speak your truth, share your talent, use the tools you have, no matter how small they seem, and begin. Because when you build something of your own, no one can take it away from you. Priyanka Chopra wasn't always given the stage. She took it. She didn't let rejection in one part of the world stop her from conquering another. She didn't beg for someone else to open the door. She became the door. That's the difference. Waiting for someone to discover you is a gamble, but discovering your own power is a choice. The more you take initiative, the more you realize the world doesn't just belong to the ones who were invited. It belongs to the ones bold enough to show up anyway. So if the spotlight hasn't found you yet, shine anyway. Build, create, and innovate, because the future isn't reserved for the chosen few, it's built by the relentless ones who never stopped moving forward. There's a deep strength in walking away, one that's often misunderstood. People might say you gave up, that you were too sensitive, or that you couldn't handle it. But what they don't see is the courage it takes to look at a situation and say, asterisk, this no longer deserves my energy. Asterisk, walking away isn't weakness. It's an act of self-respect. When you stay in spaces that hurt you, belittle you, or demand more than they give, you silently tell yourself that you don't deserve better. But when you walk away, you reclaim your power. You choose peace over chaos. You choose growth over comfort. You choose yourself over approval. Life isn't about enduring what breaks you just to prove your loyalty or toughness. It's about recognizing your value enough to know when enough is enough. That relationship that drains you, that job that doesn't see your potential, that friendship built on convenience rather than care. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave. It's easy to stay. It's familiar. It feels safe even if it's suffocating, but leaving, that requires honesty. It demands you to be uncomfortable, to trust yourself, and to face the unknown, and that's exactly why it's powerful. Priyanka Chopra has spoken openly about redefining her journey, stepping away from things that didn't align with her vision, even when people didn't understand, and that's the lesson: you don't need anyone's permission to honor your boundaries. Respect starts from within, and when you walk away from what doesn't nurture you, you teach the world how to treat you, not with compromise, but with the same respect you finally decided to give yourself. So don't be afraid to choose the exit. Sometimes the path to your highest self begins the moment you decide to leave. Too often, We downplay our strengths to make others comfortable. We hesitate before speaking up, shrink our achievements, and question our potential, all because we're afraid of being too much. But owning your power isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's knowing exactly who you are, what you bring to the table, and refusing to apologize for it. The world has taught many of us to be humble to the point of invisibility, to be agreeable, to not rock the boat. But what if rocking the boat is exactly what you're meant to do? When you own your power unapologetically, you stop living on borrowed confidence and start leading with conviction. You no longer ask asterisk, am I allowed to do this? Asterisk, you declare asterisk, I'm doing this because I can. Asterisk, this doesn't mean shouting over others or proving yourself constantly. True power is quiet, steady, and unmistakable. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you make decisions, the way you walk into a room like you belong there, because you do. Priyanka Chopra didn't rise by playing small. She rose by knowing her worth, embracing her voice, and showing up fully, even when she was the only one in the room who looked or sounded like her. That's not ego, that's courage. When you stop apologizing for your brilliance, you give others permission to do the same. You create space not just for your own growth, but for others to see what's possible when we stop hiding. So don't dilute your light to fit into dim spaces. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's okay to lead, to dream, to take up space. Step into your power and stay there, not someday, not when you feel ready. Now, boldly, unapologetically, because that's who you are.